First of all, before we get going on this issue, I want to thank each and every one of you that are supporting us. We're advocating for something that's it's helping. I think the message is starting to get across. There's a problem there. People know there's a problem. The employees at the hospital knew there was a problem for years, and now some of us have brought out the message to the people of the city of Cornwall and SDG that this needs to be fixed. And we're hearing different stories from the CCH. They're telling us that they were designated. They had no choice. That's not true. I mean, the designation they applied for in 2007, the Cornwall Community Hospital also are saying that they can't make any changes because of the SLFA or FLSA, which is not true as well. I mean, they know darn well that they can make the changes. They can change the policies that are at the hospital, and because they have a board there. I was in Queen's Park talking to the minister, and she said to our MPP, which I met in Queen's Park, she said that it's up to the hospital to make the changes or to determine the French language services that fits the needs of the community. So what does that tell you? Even the minister is agreeing with what we're saying here. So we're going to continue to advocate for what we're doing here. I got a letter here. I'm going to read it to you. This just gives a perfect example. This is from Dr. Tomler. I don't know if who read this or who didn't, but I'm going to read it. It explains pretty well everything, and explains also the things that they're saying that are untrue. On Saturday, January 14th, and he headed this with lost nurses. On Saturday, January 14th, an ad appeared in the Standard Freeholder from the Cornwall Community Hospital seeking registered nurses for full-time, part-time, and casual positions. One of the requirements for these positions was bilingualism, English/French. I would like to comment on this ad from several perspectives. The hospital is said to be the largest employer in Cornwall, with nursing staff accounting for the largest proportion of employees. Skilled, part-time nurses have been denied full-time positions, not due to a lack of knowledge or experience, but as a result of the fact that they cannot pass a French language test. That's French language test. There's even many bilingual people can't pass that test because it's so difficult and so advanced. And that's another problem. It's not just English people, it's a lot of people in our communities that have to leave our communities because of that test that the board put across, so that make it so hard for anybody that doesn't have that high quality or standard of French to speak to get the job. Many have left Cornwall, as I said, and sought positions in other hospitals because of this. The reality is that the hospital functions virtually entirely in English. Then why do they? Then there's no English test. They don't apply. They don't have to apply for any or do an English test. You have people that are that good in French, but it doesn't matter how good they are in English, and it's an all-English hospital. What sense does that make? From the senior administration to the very board which approved the ad in question, I sat on the hospital board when French language testing was made policy. I and other two physicians who sat on the board voted against this policy. We quite rightly made the point that nursing skills were more important to patient care than proficiency in French. At that time, and up to the present, the hospital was keeping track of language preferences for all patients. This number has been constantly below 10%. The actual number of the unilingual francophones is considerably less. In my 28 years as a physician at the hospital, I have never encountered nor heard of dissatisfaction due to nurses' inability to speak French. In cases where a patient is unilingual English, or French rather, there are always staff available for interpretation. Now this is the doctor saying this in the hospital. The vast majority of Ontarians are unilingual English, so the ad basically discriminates against the majority of the province. I find it quite ironic that companies are relocating from Quebec to Cornwall to escape the province's restrictive language laws. While this hospital, the largest employer in the city, has chosen to make bilingualism a priority. Essentially, the hospital is telling you unilingual English-speaking nurses they need not apply. Contrary to claims that bilingualism is such an asset to Cornwall, the reality is that we are ostracizing ourselves from the rich and skilled workforces making up the bulk of this province. This will also discourage dual income families, where one is a nurse coming from our city. the English-speaking majority of the city had better speak up, as already calls for proficiency in French are being pushed on other professions. One clear message would be to withhold all donations to the hospital fundraising until an ad is amended, with either the bilingualism clause removed or leased. Or worded as an asset. They say the French test, if you're going to put it in a posting out, drop the test, put it on an asset. If you want to apply for a job and you speak French, it is an asset. I mean, if you speak any second language, it's an asset. So, that's what South Stormont did. We decided, I had a meeting with the council and I brought forward my request and asked council for their support to hold the funding so we can get this issue on the table. Well, we got it on the table all right across Canada. And now we have you on our side. It made our job a lot easier, and we're hoping that you continue your battle with us. And before I finish and conclude here, there's a petition over there Debbie has in her hand, and we're going to go at them again, the Cornwall Community Hospital, on Monday morning. We have, I don't know if Jeanette Spatty's going to be there. Well, she better be there. She's making $237,000 from our money. She should be there to answer to the public. Would you not agree?
Yes.
So there's a petition here. If you haven't signed it, would you please put your John Henry on there so that when I go there Monday, I'm going to say there's over 2,000 people here that know there's a problem here in the city of Cornwall and SDNG. And not only here, across Ontario, there's the problem. But let's start somewhere, and we'll work to advocate for others. Okay? I'll pass it over to Deputy Mayor Hart.
This is ironic because Brian and I never talked until yesterday, but we both had our own information to bring, and of course we brought the same letter. Yeah, we did. Now, so the thing about this letter then that means something is the fact that everything this doctor is saying is true, and this man is speaking from his heart. So we know there's a major, major problem in this hospital, but not only in this hospital, it's in every government agency across Ontario. Life thought that it was as bad as this. I've been with Beth and the CLF for a long time, and I support them, which I think everybody needs to do more than ever now. But I just never we had a meeting on Wednesday. We had over 100 people there, about 80%, well, I don't know how many, what would you say?
8% supporting our cause, yes.
Yeah, so 80 of them were about English and 30 French there to support their cause. But we started out the meeting, without a lie, we started with Our Father, and it was so ironic because the Francophones were saying Our Father in French and trying to outbeat the English people, and it just kept getting louder and louder.
There was a war on our Lord's Prayer. Can you imagine?
You know, it's just scary what we heard though. Like, I would have thought when those two individuals that came up and sat in front of our council, and the mayor gave us an opportunity to ask a question, and he himself then did his spiel. And honest to God, I think our mouths just all dropped. Brian, I thought we would hear, oh my God, we see we've made mistakes, we need to improve, we need this money from the majority of the people, so we better get our act together. We never heard a damn thing like that.
That's right. I agree. She reminds me of my wife.
So that's when I said, boy, we have serious problems here in Eastern Ontario, especially, and in Ontario, and you know what's going across Canada. So our politicians here, anyone in here that's a politician, Mr. McLaren? We need assistance now. And I know on CFRA we've got a couple of ladies here, Shirley, and Debbie, and I know there's another Pearl, and Pearl. I mean, we always get on CFRA, try and hammer away, and it. So that's pretty scary. And we've got Sun Media here, Brian Lilly. Woo! It is scary. We are now second-class citizens in Ontario, which is a damn shame. And we are paying for this. We are the ones funding the government to get our heads wrapped against the wall. So what the hell's wrong with us that we can't speak up? Okay. The only way, I'm gonna, oh yeah, Nick's our CFRA guy. He's been great. That man has been great. He does not mind the topic, and he'll share it with anybody. Just so that I can conclude as well, I have to commend my mayor. I'm very proud of him. One of the worst topics to ever have to deal with, and it is hell, I'll tell you, because I had another issue regarding the sign issue along the St. Lawrence Seaway, and I'll tell you the nastiness that comes out of the Francophones and their whole agenda is scary. I want to say thanks to my Kim, because Kim's a sweetie. My pet, where are you? That was great. That was great, Kim. So where would we be? Everybody else that's part of this. So I hope I haven't missed anybody. And I'll pass this over to the mayor now.
Again, I want to thank everyone for your support and your encouragement. I just want also to say this is about equality. We're not asking for more. We're asking for the same. Am I right?
Yes.
And what's wrong with that? Who would ever disagree that we're asking for equality for everyone, not just the unilingual English or Anglophone or just English. No, we're asking for fair opportunities for everyone to have the opportunity to work in their communities. There's nothing wrong with that. And if anybody says there is, I say that's discrimination. I think that's what, don't reverse it on us. That's discrimination. There's nothing wrong with fighting for what you believe in and giving your kids, and my grandchild is here today, and that's what this is all about. Thank you very much.